So you're going to talk about the fights to be made in the UFC. There are, a few things that are potentially on the horizon. I'm going to be able to get into a little bit more of those in the championship rounds. And, just going over, you kind of put on your matchmaking hat and you, with the UFC, you can kind of look up and down the rankings and you can kind of see based off of activity and inactivity, where there's a compelling fight. The good thing is you have a decent chance of seeing the fights happen unless there's like injuries or something to that effect that pops up.
So I have a question for you. So I asked you this a few shows ago, maybe more. I said, who's the biggest draw in UFC? And you said it's still Conor.
Yes.
Okay. Who would be like right behind
him? John.
Okay. So let me ask you this. When was the last time John fought?
That was earlier this year. Dominic Reyes, I think, what was that?
Right.
February.
And then the Cerrone fight was when?
Late January or February.
Right.
Late January.
So why don't they each headline a behind closed doors pay-per-view?
I think honestly, I think that's coming. John's been calling out Francis Ngannou all week because John wants to. I think the best thing for John right now is to step up to heavyweight. I think that's just the best thing for him, period. This has been something that mixed martial arts community has been anticipating for a long time. I mean, he's 6'4". He clearly carried 235, 240 well.
So somebody says, where's Conor right now? I don't even know. Is he in Ireland?
Probably, I'm sure.
Okay, so he's not coming here anytime soon.
Right. All right. We seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties on Peter's part. On Peter's side, I apologize for that. But just talking about the fights that we would love to see at the end of for the rest of the year for the UFC. John Jones, Francis Ngannou was definitely one that would be a fantastic fight to have because obviously he's been calling Ngannou out to go up and he wants to move up to heavyweight. I think it's best for John. I think from a speed standpoint, he's having a little bit of an issue handling the light heavyweights. They're different. Just the speed that they present right now, I think is a little bit difficult. It's getting harder for John. And this is the right time for him to move up to heavyweight. From Ngannou's standpoint, it makes sense because Ngannou wants a title fight. He's probably not going to get it because the Cormier-Miocic trilogy has to play itself out. So because that's the case, it would make far more sense for Jones to go ahead and fight Ngannou because that's the closest thing to it. And then obviously if Ngannou wins, he really has to get a title shot at that point. But it is a risky fight for Ngannou because he could lose and would then again be outside of his title shot. So we'll see what happens. I'd also really like to see Israel Adesanya against Paulo Costa. That fight makes all the sense in the world. At middleweight, those guys have been going at each other. Kobe Covington against Jorge Masvidal makes all the sense in the world too. The dudes seem to hate each other. The winner should absolutely get a title shot at welterweight. So that one makes sense. And then obviously Justin Gaethje versus Khabib Nurmagomedov for the undisputed lightweight championship. That's a great fight for sure. That's the one I feel like we really need to have.